doing this. To let you guys know, you go to your options menu, drop down to creator mode, and this is the screen that will pop up. I go into create a race, and then I normally determine if I want stunt race or land race. Most of my races end up being stunt race, so we'll just go from there, and we'll just make it a basic stunt race. Next thing I do is I try to figure out where do I want my race to take place. So I like to zoom way out, take a look around the map, see where I want to try to lay some sort of track out. Like I don't know, like over here I see some what could be some fun curves. Like here could be a nice curvy track up and around this area. You also want to look for a straightaway that you could line up the cars you're wanting. I normally try to do a 30 car. Lately I've been trying to do a 3-lane wide, but you can also try doing a 2-lane wide if you've got a narrow straight road. Like something like this right here looks like it would hold about 30 cars straight in a line. So let's see if we can find an area to build a track at. Let's see here, what kind of track should we make? We want something with some high speeds, or we want something with some curves? Okay, so I'm seeing right here, I've got this straightaway I'm looking at, about down the center. If I bring it all the way over to the other side of this, looks like if I bring it over here, I could take it down this little ramp, up around there, got a nice little chicane. Into the next. I'm going to try to back it up as far as I can. That way when I go do my starting gate, I'll do my starting gate just this side of the sidewalk, and it'll cause it to look like your gate's right in front of you when you're starting a race. Oh, got a phone call coming in. We're not answering that. Alright, so now we're looking at, we got our starting gate. This is the direction of travel we're going to be going in. You typically want to try to make on a road this wide, you want to try going 2 lanes wide for your, like 2 paths. Put down your first one, and then when you look over on the top left corner, it says primary. If you click to the side, it says secondary. You can pull straight across. It'll turn yellow again. That gives you your secondary. I don't like how far over that is, so I'll come back, and then you look bottom right corner. It gives you your prompts. It says edit. I want to edit and pull this further to the side. It's okay, like that car on the right turns red. That's okay. That just means that there's only 2 spots you can spawn in at instead of only 1. But I'm going to try putting it about like that. Looks good. And then we'll come over and we'll edit this one. Bring it over till it turns red. Back it up a little bit. And that gives us two paths. So as soon as you start the race, you can take up this entire track. So we know that based on where these lined up, if I put this main circle that the cars are next to, right next to that sidewalk, that puts me to where I can put both my checkpoints on the track or on the street at the same time. So I'm gonna come up here, put that on there, turn the like use your R1 and L1 to rotate the vehicles, and you want to rotate them in the direction you're going. It puts, when you're doing the race, it'll put your checkpoints pointed in the direction that the driver should be going next. We're not going to place too many checkpoints on this. There's no need for a whole lot of checkpoints. I've been told that if you get, the more checkpoints you have in a race, the more money you can make, but I'm not finding that to be true based on my races. What I'm finding is the longer the race takes is the more money you make. So I aim for my races to last about 5 minutes. Something like this, it's looking like 3 to 4 laps is what I'm guessing will put me in about the 5-minute mark. Now I know I wanted to go down, here it is. There's a spot I wanted to go down at. And there's my check. How do I want to do this? So one thing you want to do sometimes is get down, zoom in down low, street level. You get an idea where you're looking at as far as Now we're just going. This road here is definitely narrow enough. I'm not worried about. That is. I don't think I'm gonna. Well, I could probably utilize both lanes here. If I back this checkpoint up, it'll make it easier for them to transition into that second corner. Here, we'll just set it down up here and back this one up a little bit. One of my favorite things. I was telling you about that. Do I want to allow them to choose left or right side coming up on the trees? So I've really got, and I'm at the. Now we'll bring. So under props, you have all kinds of things you can use here. One thing I always do is where it says allow prop stacking, I turn that on. See how that tube's on top of the building and now it's under it? It allows things to transition. like these. Something like this on each side of the starting gate. I think I like that one. I'm going to put one of these on each side. Some people like to be super perfect about lining these things up. Some people, you just like to get them in place. Okay, I see where I've got this little street sign kind of clipping through it. I try not to let something like that impede it too much, so I'll kind of hide it behind it. On the into it, I don't feel like putting that much. I mean, I just realized my mic wasn't working all the time. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how much you missed. So, I don't feel like putting a whole lot of detail as far as like lining the streets and everything else. I want to leave it more of a street look. Get that short one and put it here. And that's one thing you gotta watch out for is like as it crosses the sign, you can see how it was jumping up on top of it. Be a bit of a pain sometimes. I don't see any true reason to have barriers down through this. But down here was that first corner we talked about wanting to really put something in. So help force them around the corner. I'm going to cover up that signpost a little bit with a street sign, or with a racing sign. I think I'm going to use a little wider one. And now when we get to this part, I don't want a large sign like this sticking up, so I'm going to go back to barriers. Now I'll find something I like to look. So I want the one with the two stripes if I can find it. There we go. So here's where we'll start making something that will help deter people around the corners. Allowing prop stacking allows me to melt these two together to bring it more into a point. And at the speed you're racing around the track, most of the time you don't notice things like that, but sometimes you do. You can see how that barrier sticking out a little bit, right? That can cause a problem for the racers. Whoops. So what you want to do is try, if you can, to get that to melt into it to where the part sticking out is on the far side. So as the driver comes down through, if they do hit that, it'll push them and bounce them through instead of hanging them up. That's something I've recently figured out. As this is on the back side, I'm not as worried about making it as aesthetically pleasing because people are not taking their time just going around the track to critique it. They're more flying around here trying to beat the next racer. That's good enough. Alright, now, as people are coming down through here, they are going to see that. I need to put some sort of signage to help direct them the direction they need to go. I'm going to go back over to stunt signs. I'm going to find the ones pointing to the right. And I want the most narrow sign they have, which is just a single arrow. I'm going to place it right here on the inside. As they're coming down the road, they're going to see that sign pointing. Take another one, place it over here just in case they see it. And then on the far side over here, place down, let's see here, let's do some Patriot beer, big sign, some Pisswasser, another big sign, and Imponte Racing. If you notice, that gives you all arrows pointing that direction. As they come down through here, they'll make that corner. I'm leaving them open area to make an error and overshoot, but it also allows them that if it's just a little bit too far, like maybe they're just cutting up into this grass a little bit, it's not putting a sign right on the edge for them to hit and knock them off course. So I'm trying to make it to where people are able to flow through the track. So as we come down through here, it's just a straight shoot. I don't have any real reason to put barriers up anywhere to stop anyone from doing anything. Coming up into this corner, we definitely need some sort of signage to help direct people the right direction. So to keep people from trying to shoot between the trees. I'm going to line a couple of these up. As we're coming up past this checkpoint, and little things like the hotel sign right here, I don't like covering those up too much. I like trying to leave stuff like that open so it helps people like with where they're at in the GTA world or whatever. I just think it's fun. But now coming down to here, I really do need to block this off, stop people from cutting through. I need to cut this around a little bit. I need to put barrier up around this corner. So right here I really need to build up. We're going to start this. I forgot we got Sprunk and Junk, which are two of my favorite signs. I like that big jackal one. We'll use that. Start with the Junk Energy. Then we'll go back to the large sign. And we'll finish it off with the Sprunk sign. I do have my YouTube open. If you guys want to leave any kind of comments or whatever that are watching, I'll be able to see what you're saying, and maybe you can give me ideas of something you would like to see in this track, and I'll see if I can incorporate it in somehow. Alright, so now that we've got that, I need to build something up over here as well. Don't really need anything pointing what direction to go, because if I build it right, it's going to force them down anyway, down around the corner. I just want to make sure I'm far enough off the road that it's not stopping them from being able to race, but I also don't want it. I want to make sure I'm far enough off the road to stop them from being able to race, but I don't want it too far from the road to where it allows them to get some sort of advantage or whatever. But then I see little things like this. I'm trying to think, okay, you know, that is something that could be a pain in the butt, so I need to somehow cover it. So maybe I am going to have to bring this all the way up on the edge. Didn't really want to use the ones with the arrows, but I just noticed they don't have ones this size without the arrows, aside from the one. And I really can't use anything bigger to make it work. There we go. Hey Josh, what's going on? Oh, that's something else that can get annoying sometimes, is when you're trying to lay tracks down and they want to do that little flash thing. Every now and then you'll have stuff where it just gets hung up like that. It's just a pain in the butt. Alright, so I come back and take a look. Alright, I do need to build this corner up a little bit more. And I need to straighten this out more. And again, I'm trying to watch my barriers at this point, making sure they're not clipping in a way that's going to impede the racers. Something I've made that mistake quite a bit, and I'm trying to get better at. Alright, at that point they're just going straight, so I'm not going to worry about making that any more detailed. I want to allow them to cut up on the sidewalk here, that way it gives them a little bit more room for trying to drive this corner. And that should be good there. So this is what we ended up with. Coming down the straightaway, we got it split, we got a barrier so you can either take the narrow or the wide path. Sign to help keep them from cutting in too sharp here. Arrows to direct them on which direction they're going. They make their corner. Come up a straightaway, get your first sign here, a couple signs in front of you showing that you're going to the left. I could try to shoot. Actually, I might as well go ahead and do that. While we're in it, and we're thinking about it, we're just going to throw one big sign heading this direction. Maybe if I can get it to quit acting weird. There you go. That way they're not tempted to turn right here, because I've got a couple tracks where people like going the wrong direction. So they come up. We've got barriers and things. Looks like there's might have some clipping issues. Yeah, I see some. All right, right here. If you guys see what I'm looking at, I'll use a tip of this red. Right in here, you can see where you got the red, and it transitions to the white between the gas sign and the junk sign. How the white is sticking out just a little bit farther. That might not be an issue, or it might be a big enough issue to send a car flying. I'm kind of curious as to which one it does. I'm seeing it. I know it's there. I want to know what happens when I hit it. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Alright, so now we're coming down this straightaway. I'm going to leave this wide open through here. Let people figure this out. And now here I need to determine how I want to do this. I'm thinking of it. You see how it wants to roll the signs, and then you just about have to have it down on the road to get it to lay flat. And that just gets in the way. Sometimes you're better off just taking a smaller sign of some sort and getting to where you're wanting to make sure they're not cutting across, and try to get that one sign to lay in decent. So like if I bring it here, yeah, they might try cutting in some. By the time they get to this spot, they're going to hit that sign. It's just going to be in the way and slow them down. It's out of the way enough, you can race it easily, but it's in the way enough that it will slow them down. Trying to cut this corner or whatever, I don't see that as being an issue at the moment. I'll find out later in testing, and especially when I do real world testing and have other drivers on it, it'll make a difference. So I'm coming up through here. I'm not worried about them cutting across here so much, because I have these two checkpoints they have to hit. I'm wondering if I think I'll see if I can find regular barriers. Throw some regular barrier in, just to kind of direct them around it. Kind of detour them and give them some form of structure to the race. This is the thing that takes me so long when making these tracks, is laying all these little barriers in like this just to get them to line up decent. People ask me, how long does it take you to make this track or that track? Most of them I can knock out in about an hour and a half or so. Hour and a half. Some of them I've had take 5-6 hours for one track. And it's because of the little things like this, or trying to get checkpoints to lay out in a way that they're not allowing people to cut the track off. I had one track, I think after publishing it, I had to go back into it, I don't know, at least 5 times to adjust things from where other members of my crew were like, oh, by the way, this is where I'm finding a shortcut at. And I had to go in and adjust it so that people were not able to cut that corner off. Alright, to me that looks okay for an inside line. Now to build the outside line. This is where we do want to... Oh, that's another thing. If you notice, when you come across something like that and you see the thing bouncing, to me that's a pain in the butt on some tracks. I mean, you just end up with areas where you got a lot of power poles and things. Best way around those is to zoom up high enough where you're going over top of them. It's harder to get in and really get your details in that way, but at least it doesn't drive you insane with it bouncing like that. Alright. So from here I know I want to start cutting this across. It's like I really wanted it to cut in tight through here, which I can still do. I mean, I can bring this all the way in and just make it single length through there, but I don't want it to be that tight of a corner. But I don't want it to be extremely wide either. So I think I'm going to bring it out here like this. And then through here I'll cut it in a little tighter. And then bring it in just over the lamppost here. Alright, it's wanting to bounce, and not necessarily bounce, but it's not letting me place it exactly where I want. See how it's wanting to climb the lamppost? Sometimes when you just rotate them, it helps, but not always. Looks like in this case it did. And then we'll widen this back out and try to make it run about parallel with that arm, that purple line, but still cover that sign up a little bit. That way it shows people they can shoot out that direction as well. So it cuts in, gets narrow, brings them in tight, opens them back up, and they're off to the races. All down through here, I'm not going to worry about putting any checkpoints through this. Even though that purple line's cutting across, a lot of the racers will end up following this instead of cutting in. Most of the racers, I honestly think, will be here on this inside line. It's because inside lines are always faster. As they're coming up this way, they're going to see it cuts across. It will actually be faster for them as they come through here. Cut across, try to avoid that post, hit through here, come up. Probably a hook back. No? This is the way that is, or wanting to keep it tight. I'm going to leave those posts exposed just as obstacles for them to potentially run into. Just because I like to leave little things like that sometimes, giving people the option to make the mistake instead of removing the mistake for them. Giving them the option to make that mistake, in my opinion, is one of the things that adds the real challenges to the races. Because if you can just put your car up against the wall and slide around a corner, that takes the skill out of making that corner. I like putting it in there to where you have to push it to make the corner the right way, or it can cost you the race. And since all this is just basically following the road, I might come in and throw like some decoration of some sort in. Actually, this would be a good part to show you guys about the blimp. Because you got this wide area. We're going to put an advertisement for this YouTube channel right here. You come back up to stunt signs. Or no, not stunt signs. Yeah, stunt signs. My bad. It's R3 and L3 to change the elevation. If you're wanting to use it as an advertisement like what I do, you don't want to raise it up so high that they don't see it, but you don't want to have it down so low it's in the way or clipping into other things. Because as you can see, it'll let me mix it right into the building somewhat, and I don't want to do that. But if I go much higher than this, most racers won't even see it. So one thing I'll do, I'll turn around, look down this way. Gives me an idea of how far they'll be able to see it from. Lower it back down a little bit. And I will change it to black for a certain member of the Suns, and you know who you are. So I've come out of props. I want to go race details. Come down to blimp. Set blimp text. YouTube at Merrimack. If you notice now, the blimp is scrolling my YouTube channel. Go back into placement, back into props. If I want, I can put another blimp somewhere else. Bit of a straightaway, throw something in there for them to see. Alright, back to where was I? Alright. Just hold R3 and it'll clip itself back to the ground. Right there I'm clipping into the blimp. I'll just zoom down to the road level. Get under the blimp. Bring it back up. And just throw a vapid sign up here with the lines on. Alright, this is where we were talking about making things narrow again. So these trees are not breakable, but this signpost and the signpost and the lamppost are. So we're going to come off just the backside of these trees and bring it across. And that's where we're going to start our narrowing at. I'm aware I've got a sign there, but I'm just going to leave it. Trying to run this just shy of parallel to the blue line so it brings it in slowly. It looks like I have it lined up just about where I wanted to, because I wanted to end up down here on this. And I'll come up this way. See, how do I want to do this? So now I'm having to think about how I'm wanting to build things, because this is the part of the track that was getting a little more technical. I mean, it's nowhere near as technical as some races. I mean, it's a fairly easy flowing track. I'll bring this back out here a bit. So here, currently, if you look in the bottom right, we have used 70 of 200 props, so we're doing good. Don't like how that was lining up. That'll work. Not perfect, but it works. I'm trying to line up my camera to where I can easily see where my prop is going, but also where I can see up ahead. Not the easiest thing to do sometimes. There we go, that's a little better. Kind of sighting in where I'm aiming my props at, so I can keep the line halfway smooth. This is where I wish they had what's it called? Snapping. Where you can snap your props together easily. Oh, what's going on here? Manhole cover throwing it off? Looks like it. So this is where we're going to try rotating it again. Maybe that'll help me out. Another thing, when you just run into a problem spot like that, sometimes just changing the size that you're using will help you around your issue. Let's see what part of it is. The road is at an angle. With it being at an angle, and I don't feel like going into the advanced options. I think you can do it on this. Yeah, override. Yeah, override position. You could change your X and Y axis. I don't feel like doing all that. Instead, I just deal with whatever I've got. being it is what it is, we're just going to bring it up this way. Bring them just inside these trees. Now we'll go back and work on the other side and then bring them up together and make them work as one. Being that this is just a demonstration, I'm not worried about making everything perfect. I mean, I don't even know if I'll end up keeping this track or not, but we'll see how the crew feels about it, and if they like it, I'll keep it around. Maybe go in and spruce it up a little bit and detail it out a little better. Might just leave it how it is. And right, that's what we got. Had one of the crew members just try to invite me to a chat party at the moment, but I'm busy with you guys trying to teach how to, or show you what I go through when I'm making a track to maybe either help you out with ideas, help you with any questions you might have later on how to make one. I'm messing up on that tree, aren't I? If you guys ever have any questions, you can hit me up here on YouTube. You can find me in GTA on the PS4. I'm on there under Miramac. Same name as here on YouTube. Send me a friend request if you're looking for a crew for playing GTA, or you're wanting to run races, make money, or anything like that. My crew is always recruiting. You can always come to us, and as long as you're not a troll, we'll work with you. We don't care for trolls too much. We've got no problem kicking trolls out of the crew if need be. Alright, so we're coming up to the end of the track. It's time for us to start figuring out how we're going to make this finish off for a lap. I wonder if that'll work. Coming down through, see that corner. I'm definitely going to need to put some sort of sign in or whatever to let people. What am I clipping on now? There we go. Must have been a little leaf or something in the tree that I was hitting. Gets annoying sometimes. So we're going to come down. I'm going to need to put some sort of signs in to let them know to make the right-hand turn. I believe this corner will work here on the inside because it kind of brings in, it should be out of the way enough, directs them back out to the main line down the straightaway. This outside line is what's going to pose an issue for me, because I need to know when you're coming around this corner, how much room do you need to swing out and make that next checkpoint? Because that's 40, that's 41. How much room do they need? How much room do I want to give them? Because if I want, I can tell them they can only come to here. Technically, they should be able to make the corner within that much room. That's probably what I'm going to do just because that sign's there. Bring it up to here, cut straight across. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. If I cut from there, cut over to the tree, up to this sign, over to this post, up to this post, follow this parking line down to just left of these cars, because I don't want to come all the way down to here. because then I'll be in the way of anyone who spawns in behind it. I don't want that. So if I come off of this edge to approximately here, yeah, about that light line in the center, and I can run that all the way up. I wouldn't need to run it all the way up. I'll probably only run it just a little bit. But yeah, tree, sign, stop post, white line up to there. So now we know what our route's going to be. I want to still use these barriers to pull it off. And I have 105 barriers to do it in, so I got plenty of barriers to work with. I don't want this to take too long because I know patience on YouTube is not a virtue a lot of people have anymore these days. So I am going to rush this a bit. I should have been thinking about that earlier and rushing earlier stages of this build. I apologize for that. But if you've hung out with me this long, thank you, and I appreciate it. If you come across this video later and you make it to the end, let me know. Because I am interested in seeing how many people actually make it to the end of my videos. I'm not thinking many of them do. Some of my videos are very long, very boring. I'm not going to lie. I am not the voice that people like to listen to for hours on end sometimes. Hell, I don't even like listening to my own voice that long. But we do what we do, right? I got a buddy calling in. Call him back here in a bit. Alright, well, let's line us up almost perfect for this. Bring this up about parallel with this white line. We said we wanted to go to about the center. It looks like we'll go just shy, and we'll just leave it at that. It brings people in. Should give them enough room to power that corner. Brings it kind of wide, cuts them back in, back down for the way. This one, just to make it a little more interesting, we'll throw this in here. Well, we got extra barriers left over, and I just got to put some turn signs in. So let's throw some of these in here to kind of even out the other side. Well, maybe if it'll let me do it. If not, I'm not going to bother with it. See, I'm not even going to worry about it. See how it's leaving that raised up? I don't feel like messing with it. Alright, back down to stunt signs. We're looking for our arrows. We need the ones pointing to the right. I want to go for the smallest one first, because this is the one we'll use back like in this area, just to let people know that their corner is coming up. Gives them an idea as they're coming down through, they know they've got a hard right hand turn coming up. trying to get back so I can see what we're looking at. Alright, so we see we're coming up. See these big signs. That is actually something I think should work. Throw one more back here. Just to help them understand their, give them a little extra visual reference. Alright, I think we're good on that. Lobby camera. So this is again where the trigger location, which is actually right here. If you get too far outside of the trigger location, you can see on the mini map the red circle shows up, and then when you turn around you can kind of see this dome. That lets you know how far away from the picture you can get. I mean, I think I can actually get up here, take a picture down if I wanted. But instead, I would like it to kind of show this starting gate with that building and fence behind it. Or not fence, bridge. I'm looking, I've got this lamp or stop sign or stoplight, if I can say. I'm at a lack of words today. My apologies. Alright, it looks decent. Preview it. So as the game's loading up, that should be what they see. And that's it as far as the actual build of the race. Everything else is going to be your details. Next, number of laps. I knocked down for 1 for testing. Let's start with supercar class. And then your default car. This is actually what you'll end up testing with. So, let me just pick something. I know what I want to find. Where's the X80 Proto? Yeah, we're going to test with that. Back out. Test. Because we have 2 lines, a primary and a secondary, you have to test both lines before it allows you to race. So we're going to test the primary line. It gives you a stock car random color. I forgot to shut off the traffic apparently. That is an option. I could leave this race with the traffic on. It's a bad race with traffic on good today. There's that blimp. There's our stop. Oh shoot. So I'm at about a minute. Just over a minute, and there was minute 30. Could have probably made it minute 15 if I didn't crash. Which means I would need, what, 4 laps to be a 5-minute race? So I'll probably make it a 5-lap race. So now we're going to go out, test again, test the secondary. Probably going to make it a 5-minute 2-lap, or a 5-lap supercar race. Just gotta make sure to shut that traffic off. I don't know, I kinda like the traffic on. Could make it interesting. Definitely ups the difficulty on the secondary line. Here's all we're doing, just doing a basic test. Like I said, I like knocking it down to one lap because I really don't feel like doing 5 laps of this every time it makes me test something. Because sometimes, like, if I just change the classification of car, it'll make me test it again. Alright, we're going to keep going into details. This is going to be the photo for the track itself. I like trying to find like little signs throughout the GTA to use as my photos. And once again, you've got to be within a certain distance of your point over here. Okay, there it says Schlongberg Sachs. I want to see if I can zoom in on that because that is funny. Things like this, I love using for my video or for my photos. Schlongberg Sachs. I want all 3 of those because ball sack, dealing with life's ups and downs, Penrith. Oh, those are all funny. I want all 3 of them. Alright, we got our photo. Title. This is where I'm stuck. YouTube built. Why not? I don't know what track it is. Description. There we go. That'll work. Search tags. I always put Suns, SOA, and then some kind of racing. Whenever you're doing search tags, no spaces, and you have to have a comma between each word. Alright, we'll see if that helps people find it. Maximum 30, race type standard. Laps. We know we want this to be a 5-lap race. Medium starting grid, so you can't put like monster trucks on this. Available vehicles. You can go in and you can change what's available and what's not. Default class, we're doing the Super. X80 Proto is going to be our default vehicle. You can change these to anything that the game has. Time of day, current, morning, noon, night. I think a night race might look really cool in this, but I make all my races at night. But still, with these street lights. Actually, let's just make it current. Whatever time of day it is, that's what it'll show up as. Weather, we're going to leave it bright. We don't want it raining or anything. Traffic, we want off. Wanted level off. Music and stuff, I never worry about changing those. Lobby radio, this is whenever you're in the launch menu of the game and they're inviting players in, it's what radio station's playing. So just put it on something you like. Forced camera view, you can lock this in first person or third person if you want. I don't like locking it in on people. I like them to be able to use whatever they want to use. I don't use the stunt camera triggers because I don't put stunt races in or stunt jumps in. This only counts as a stunt race because of these barriers and that blimp. That's the only thing that makes this a stunt race. I mean, technically, it's just a basic road race. Disable catch up. We're going to leave that. If you disable the catch up, that just makes it to where if someone gets out in the lead with it saying disable catch up, no. That basically, whoever's in the lead, it slows their car down a little bit so everyone else can catch up some. Makes the races a lot tighter. If you turn it to yes, then it doesn't limit anybody. You know, for this sort of situation, we'll go ahead and limit it, or put it on that. Ambient pedestrians is just people walking around on the sidewalks and stuff. You can leave it on. You've got a chance of hitting someone while they're walking down the street or whatever. Path recording, I personally don't like using. I've only tried using it once. I want to get stuck in it, so I don't mess with it. I don't find a use for it yet. Your blimp text, I showed you guys what that is earlier. Custom vehicles, you can turn it on or off. This basically changes what people can use and stuff. Model vehicle boost, I haven't found where that makes a difference. Award stunt RP for stunt RP bonus. I always turn that on because if you wreck and you roll your car over or whatever, you got a shot at a little bit of RP out of it. Change race type we're not going to mess with because that's going to change between being a stunt race or a regular race. In order to take it from stunt to regular, it's going to delete all these barriers I got in. And let's see here, let's go back through this and double check. Standard 5. Alright, so far it's looking good to me. And if you wanted, during this whole build, you could have turned your radio on and put it on whatever station you want, and you could listen to the radio in-game while you're making your build. So then you come down and you hit save. It's going to save your build that you just got done making. And then you go down to publish, and it's going to publish it. So this race, if you go into any of those search tags I put in at the end, you can go into those search tags on the social club, and you can actually look this track up and see what went on with it, and you can actually race this track at any time you want. And then you exit. That concludes the build, guys. Thank you for watching.